This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It is the After Party live on a Monday, and thank you for being here. It was very After Party livey, I will say, to end the Mark Thompson show with the moose cam, the live moose migration cam, which I thought was really, really fun. And I was trying to see if I could bring it up really quick to run it here as well. But they're going through the forest, they're going over the rivers, and it's kind of exciting to watch. There are these live moose cams that are happening right now in different parts of the world. I think, was it Sweden or Switzerland? One of those places that starts with an S. And they're watching the moose migrate for the next 20 days. They'll be doing this. So that's kind of exciting. Yeah, here it is. Watch the moose meander with this popular live stream from Sweden. So I'm into it. Let's see if we can watch it together. I think you can see them going through the hold on. I have to show you guys because they're so cute. These majestic moose swimming through the streams. Here they are. You can see it and hear it, and it's kind of peaceful and lovely. There they go, wading through the streams. Wow. What a great thing to see. They're capturing the video, not only with animal cams where they've stationed them on trees and objects, but also with drone footage as well. And there's so many people watching this live footage of the moose cam. So perhaps over the next 20 days, we'll check in and out and see how the moose are faring as they migrate in Sweden. That's really peaceful, isn't it? Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, there he is. There's a close-up of this guy or girl. They move faster than I thought they'd move through the water. They're kind of good swimmers. That's really cool. I love it. Okay. Thank you for indulging me as we kind of bookend the moose cam, start and finish with the majestic moose from the Mark Thompson show to the After Party live. Let's go to some of the other stories we have today. It is Hide in Your Cave Monday, and I got a great cave submission. So we'll be going to a cave where some objects were found, the secret cave where there's a cache of good stuff that has been uncovered. So we'll get to that. But first, what about this smiley face in the sky? That's cute. Something we may be able to see later on in this week. This is a rare smiley face, also called a bunching together of planets. So it's a triple conjunction event, and it involves Saturn, Venus, and a crescent moon that will make it look, as you gaze upward, like the sky is smiling back down upon you. This is expected to light up the night sky April 25th. So Friday. They call it cosmic positivity. It'll happen, supposed to happen, just before dawn, April 25th, about 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Venus, Saturn, and the moon are briefly aligning during this rare triple conjunction, and it will likely resemble a smiley face when you gaze upward. The grin expected to last for about an hour near the eastern horizon just before the sun begins to rise. So NASA says anyone trying for a glimpse of this conjunction needs to find a clear eastern horizon from which to observe it. So Venus will be the higher of the two eyes, Saturn the lower of the two eyes, and then the thin crescent moon grin will appear slightly lower and farther north. And it will, is expected to be, visible to the naked eye. Although if you've got a telescope, backyard telescope, pair of binoculars will allow you to get a better look at the moon's details. There's a fourth planet here, though, that may also appear right below this triple conjunction, depending on your location. So for a lot of people, Mercury will be just out of sight below the horizon, but possibly you might be able to see that as well. So the smiling face is scheduled or expected to appear just for a few days after the peaks of the Lyrid meteor shower. That is ongoing. It reaches its peak between 10:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. April 21st, 22nd. So that's tonight. The folks that stay up late, night owls, could see as many as 15 meteors per hour if your skies are sufficiently dark enough. So that's pretty cool. Here's another picture of it. I love the smiley face in the sky, but here's another picture of how it could look. So we have Venus and Saturn, the eyes, right? Then we have the moon, which makes up the smiley face, and then right below, Mercury. So it's technically a bunching of 4 planets, even though we probably will only see the 2 and the moon. 3 planets, I should say. Yeah. A bunching of 3 planets, but all 4 objects could be visible to the naked eye. They say the Mercury might be a little harder to spot because of its dim glow and its low position in the sky. So if you, again, get up before daybreak on Friday, you'll be able to see the celestial smiling face, which I think is kind of cool. And then again tonight with the Lyrid meteor shower. So a lot going on in the skies. I wanted to bring this story to you too. This poor guy got caught in some quicksand on the beach. We've heard this before where something like this has happened, and usually on a beach as well. I think the last time we saw it was in Maine or something. But this is a case in which it happened in Michigan. This guy gets caught in quicksand at a place called Van's Beach. Pretty scary stuff. I don't think it's a place where you would really expect that this would happen to you. But let me take this picture down. I do have video that I thought I would bring you, so you could see for yourself what happened to this fellow. Sorry, let me take this down. I'm having trouble. There it is. Yeah, so let's take a look at it because I think it was unexpected. And the good news is, like everything in life, even though it may be unexpected, something good may also happen with the bad.
Day of cinema almost became a reality. Mitchell O'Brien trapped not quite in quicksand, authorities say, but a mix of sand and muck. He says he was out searching for rocks at a beach on Michigan's northwest coast when suddenly he hit a soft spot in the sand and got stuck. His friend Bree Ziga was there with him.
I thought we needed help instantly. But he was very good at reassuring that he would get out of there and that he was okay.
After 15 minutes to no avail, Mitchell still stuck up to his waist.
The sand was just getting put back almost faster than I could get it out of the way.
To me, those moments were terrifying, honestly, just to see somebody you care about in a situation.
The pair eventually decided to call 911 for help.
He's now got his foot stuck in the muck, cannot get himself out, about 5 feet out.
And that's when this action movie turned into a romance.
I referred to her as my girlfriend that's trying to call as well. At the exact same time, she got through to another operator and said, my boyfriend is stuck in the sand.
2 years of this guy being my best friend and just trying to hide everything, how I felt. And then he tried to die on me and becomes my boyfriend in the middle of it.
Firefighters eventually arrived on the scene and pulled Mitchell out within a few minutes.
Patient's been removed from the sand.
Although situations like this are rare, fire officials and Mitchell warn others to be more mindful of deep blue sand.
Go out there, enjoy it, look for your pretty blue stones like I did, but just be careful.
The couple now appreciating how a soft spot in the sand turned into a soft spot in each other's hearts. Erin McLaughlin, NBC News.
Oh, that's nice. So now there's a little love involved in the rescue. So all's well that ends well. Speaking of the beach, there's another message in the bottle story that I have to show you. This one, though, sometimes you see these bottles, they don't really get very far. They found another town over or something. This one got some distance on it. So I'll give it that. This message in a bottle went from Massachusetts all the way to the Bahamas. The message is from around 1976. And there was a couple brothers that were walking along the coast of a remote island in the Bahamas, and they found this bottle, and inside a message that had been written by a 14-year-old Massachusetts student in 1976. There's an experienced beachcomber. Clint is his name. He's found more than 100 messages and bottles across North America and the Caribbean. And he said he and his brother Evan, Clint and Evan, were exploring the coast of an island in the Bahamas a few weeks ago when they made this discovery. I guess they take it very seriously because the brothers had walkie-talkies. He said, I heard my walkie-talkie crackle to life, and my brother says something like, "You're not going to believe what I just found." So it's in this old Pepsi bottle, you can see here. And it had this note written by Peter R. Thompson, a 14-year-old Pentucket Regional Junior High School student in West Newbury, Massachusetts, who at the time of the writing of this letter was taking an oceanography class. The note said the bottle would be tossed into the ocean by the Coast Guard. So the brothers were able to get in touch with Thompson, who says he has really fond memories of the oceanography class, but he has no memory of writing this message that went into this bottle and then was cast into the sea. 50 years later, it's found. He says it was such a surprise. The brothers are hoping that they will be able to return the note to Thompson in person. I don't know why necessarily, because he doesn't remember writing it. It must not have been a largely important message, because they don't really say what the message says, other than I'm a ninth grade student at this junior high school. This is an experiment for this oceanography class. Will you please send this back to the address at the bottom and say where you found it, is what it said inside. Please send to Peter R. Thompson, etc. So that's what it said inside. So kind of fun. That's good. They got a lot of distance. Massachusetts all the way to the Caribbean. They did. I hope you guys had a good Easter. They did have a good Easter here. This is, instead of eggs, these guys were finding. That's one way to spice up your Easter Sunday, I should say. It happened in Belgium. This brewery in Belgium traded the painted eggs for beer. They call it the world's biggest beer hunt. This is the 5th year they've done it at the Iweers Gardens in Lens, Belgium. More than 1,000 people signed up to hunt for beer. They hid more than 12,000 bottles of their Lutgard beer. That's a lot to find. The beer was hidden all over the place, and among them, a special golden bottle, which, if you find the golden bottle, you win your weight in beer. So they started with a chocolate egg hunt for children at noon, and then the beer hunt happened a half hour later. Then they had a big barbecue, and people could drink all the beer that they found. They're doing it again today. There's another beer hunt today. So that's pretty cool. Imagine finding the golden bottle. So we need to do that in America, I think. They've got it right in Belgium. This is your Lotto of the day. And this story involves a ticket that maybe came with some motherly advice. It happened in Maryland. This is the first ever lottery ticket that this man bought because his mom urged him to do it. They are calling it beginner's luck. This man said he'd never bought a lottery ticket before visiting the Shoppers Grocery in Waldorf. He went to the store with his mom. He said, my mom plays the lottery, so when we walked past the vending machine, she suggested that I finally try one. And she helped him pick out a big money scratch-off ticket, and he wins $50,000. He goes, I can only describe it as an intense rush. They said the first lottery ticket might also be his very last lottery ticket. What are the chances, he said, that I'll ever do this well again? He said he might consider changing his mind down the line. He said, maybe I'll try a Mega Millions or a Powerball. Maybe the luck will still be with me. Here's the question. Your mom picked out the ticket for you. You going to give her any money? You didn't mention that in the story. But there you go. Um, I have another story for you. I know I love to talk about robots. These are kind of cute robots, right? Look at those two. They did a robot race. It was a type of foot race, and it's a half marathon. And these robot runners didn't do so well. There was a lot of breakdowns. They had 21 two-legged robots take to the streets against human competitors. It was a first of its kind, and remember we mentioned that it would be coming up. It's a first of its kind humanoid half marathon in China. And it looks like the humans did much better than the robots because the robots kept breaking down on this. There's video showing several of the robots waving to onlookers before they started the race, but at various points along the race course, these robots just kind of broke down, went belly up, as it were. The race official at one point reaches over to catch a robot by one of his arms as it falls to the pavement. This was a chance, an effort for China to showcase its AI technology in this robots. They had these teams from companies and universities that had gotten together to collaborate and work on this half marathon humanoid portion across the country. I think they have some work to do. The robot techs during the race were allowed to replace batteries at various points, but I don't think they could really fix the ones that fell down. So the first humanoid competitor, called Tiangong Ultra, finished this 13-mile long contest in about 2 minutes 40 seconds, nearly 2 hours 40 minutes rather, nearly 2 hours shy of the world record of 56:42, held by some type of long distance specialist. The human winner of Saturday's race in Beijing broke the tape at 1 hour and 2 minutes. The chief of the Robotics Information Center said, "I don't want to boast, but I think no other robotics firm in the West has matched Tiangong's sporting achievements." They say it's because they made this robot with long legs and an algorithm that allowed it to mimic the movements of humans running a marathon. Some of the robots in the race were controlled by remote control. Others were on a leash. The humanoid contestants were competing in a separate lane from the human competitors, who apparently had no problem keeping up. But yeah, I don't think that it went the way they were hoping it would go. The robots are not ready for a foot race, and that's okay. How about this story? This is what you want to find. These siblings were clearing out their parents' house. The mom, I believe, had passed away, and they were in the backyard garden of their parents' home in London, and they find this pot that's broken. Doesn't look like much, but even though it was shattered, I'm sorry, it wasn't their kids, it was their grandkids. They went to check on their grandmother's London apartment after she had died. And that's where they found in the garden this large ceramic pot. And it was in two pieces. It was covered in snails and surrounded by weeds. So you can kind of picture what, raggedy it looked like. And I would probably look at this and go, oh, it's a junket, right? But the grandchildren say they could tell that this wasn't just any pot. This was not your garden variety vessel. When they put it together, the two pieces of the pot were about 4 feet tall. And they say, unlike typical pots, this was shaped with these abstract flares and features. And they knew that their grandmother had kind of been active in artistic circles. And so they decided that they would take this pot in to see if is this anything. And they called an auction house in West London to assess it and look at it. They said from afar, you really couldn't tell what it was because it was covered in weeds. That, according to this ceramic specialist that came out to the house to see the pot as it was. But as they looked at it more closely, they recognize the signature style and the monographic seal of this artist named Hans Cooper, who was a German-born British studio potter who made these influential works. And here's what the seal looks like, how they knew. See, there's a little stamp on it. So it's easier to tell that they got something here, that this is something of note and something important. And so it turns out this woman who put this pot in her back garden had commissioned this work from Cooper in 1964 after she saw his work at an exhibition and was admiring it. She accidentally broke the pot, but instead of throwing it out, she repurposed 2 chunks of it as planters in her garden. And they say it had indeed seen better days in its heyday. It would have been, if it had, not been broken apart and damaged by time, that they would have valued it up to $13,000. At the auction last week, this copper pot, Cooper, C-O-P-E-R, was the subject of a 10-minute bidding war. Okay, so they valued it between $8,000 and $13,000. They didn't think it would get 13, but that's how they valued it. Then there's an auction, and the auction happens, and the bidding war begins. And there are people in London, Denmark, and New York that are all going after this old pot. And in the end, it sells for $63,250, including fees, to someone here in the United States who brought this old broken down pot from Granny's backyard. The auction house said they did not expect this pot to achieve its estimate, so they are over the moon. They said the fact that you can sell a really damaged ceramic pot for that sort of price goes to prove how collectible and highly regarded Hans Cooper really is. So these pots, I'm telling you, if you see the pot with this stamp on it, this is what you want. The mottled texture of this pot is apparent on this one, as well as other works that he had done as well. Some of his pots are in museums: the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. They call him Britain's most important post-war ceramic artist. So while $60,000 seems like a lot for a broken pot that required an estimate of $10,000 for restoration, so even to fix it, they're going to have to put money in. His work, Cooper's work, this is a drop in the bucket. His 7 highest selling works have all sold for at least $500,000. The record, $900,000 for an ovoid pot. The pot sold at auction last week is one of the tallest he's ever made, and that made it really rare, 4 feet tall. Even though it's still in 2 pieces right now, they're going to try to restore it to its former glory. So I'm impressed the grandkids knew that they had something there and that they needed to get that looked at a little closer. All right. It is time for Hide in Your Cave Monday. I got a really cool cave offering from Ricky, who has been going through some tough times and still manages to send me the most uplifting messages, saying that even going through loss and grief, I enjoy moments of joy and fantasy in the few hours shared with you and all the friends on the After Party Live. So huge thank you to Ricky, who sends in this, I think, really interesting looking cave in which items are found. Look at, you can kind of see in the forefront this bracelet. This is pre-Hispanic offerings that were deposited by an extinct civilization discovered in what's being called a sacred cave in Mexico. This cave in the Sierra of Guerrero, the cave is called Peacock. And what's found in this cave, this bracelet, is this archaeological treasure thought to be able to rewrite part of Mexico's pre-Hispanic history. They found it in the fall of 2023. There was a local guide and a Russian speleologist, and they took it to the National Institute of Anthropology and History, who confirmed the significance of the objects found. There were engraved shell bracelets, black stone discs, and other artifacts that were left in this cave as offerings, they think, more than 500 years ago. So this area that had normally been reached, the two were in this cave, the guide and the speleologist, and they decided to push further into this cave, into a submerged passage. And that is what led them to this hidden chamber, where they found these engraved shell bracelets that were placed on stalagmites, accompanied by another bracelet, a giant snail shell, and several black stone discs as well. They say they were similar to pyrite mirrors. Some were whole, some were fragmented. Imagine this left in this way for 500 years. This bracelet sitting on a stalagmite. Fascinating. They said it was like stepping into a place that was totally frozen in time. So they safeguarded the objects to prevent any looting, and they contacted the authorities. And in mid-March of 2024, a team of specialists came into the cave to inspect the site. And they did a little more detailed exploration. They discovered that stalagmites had been modified in pre-Hispanic times to give them a more spherical shape, suggesting that maybe there was some type of ritual work going on here. They also found 3 more stone discs, bringing to 14 registered archaeological pieces found in this sacred cave. Here's a close-up of the bracelet. They say the bracelets were mostly, look how cool the carving is on that. Can you just imagine who did that? The bracelets are made mostly from marine shells, decorated with these S symbols. You can see that shape of the S in that bracelet there, known as zona suli, zigzag lines, circles, and human faces in the profiles. Experts are saying these motifs could be linked to deities or maybe cosmogonic concepts related to the creation and fertility, and that's why they were left as an offering. As for the black stone discs, they had these small perforations along the edges, and they think those are similar to artifacts found in other areas of this Guerrero region. The context, they think, shows how the ancient inhabitants conceived of these caves maybe as portals to the underworld or sacred spaces connected to the earth and the divine. Oh, imagine stumbling upon this secret sacred cave in the middle of all this. They think the objects were put there during the post-classic period, which is 950 to 1521 AD, which is when the region was inhabited by this extinct ethnic group, which we know very little about. They're called the Tlacotefues. 16th century historical sources mention their presence in this area, but this new discovery could provide some data on their rituals and their practices and who they were and what they believed. This cave, Carrizal de Bravo, is about 2,300 meters above sea level. The community whose ancestors inhabited this spot were nomadic shepherds before they settled in this region. So the plan is to bring awareness to this area, to preserve the cultural heritage of this area, and then to launch some more studies for other pieces that may still be in nooks and crannies of this region, to learn even more about who these people were. Fascinating. Look at that bracelet. imagine who put it there and who carved it and why, and the ceremony that happened in deep inside of that cave. Anyway, thank you to Ricky for the Hide in Your Cave Monday. There it is, sitting right there. Look at that. Crazy. Well, I don't know if I'm ready to leave the cave yet, but I think we should. I wanted to tell you about this peacock. It's so cute. This peacock finally found, it was wandering around Philadelphia, and somebody finally found it on their front step. There have been reports on social media that people were calling the police because of this beautiful peacock that was strutting through the city as if it owned the place, which it probably thinks it did. And finally, somebody opens their front door, and here's what they find on the porch. Look how beautiful that little creature is. So pretty. He has finally been caught. But look at that animal. I mean, they're so beautiful, right? Yeah. Well, finally, they found this animal in, again, Philadelphia. It had been wandering around the city. Multiple reports coming in. It's here, it's there. They can't quite find it. The peacock was safely captured, brought back to a rescue organization. Not sure whether the bird's owners have been notified, but yeah, finally they have this animal. I'd seen reports too of this peacock wandering around. There are peacocks that live in the hills above me, and peacocks are really loud. I don't know if you've ever heard a peacock call, but it sounds like someone screaming. And sometimes at night in the quiet, you can hear peacocks screaming in the hills. It doesn't happen very often, but they're up there. They're so beautiful, though. One of the things I love about the San Francisco Zoo is that they have peacocks that are just wandering around like it's no big deal. Really cool. They also found this alpaca on the loose. It had been running around New York. The Westchester County Police Department said the initial reports came in that there was a llama on the loose, but this creature was misidentified, that actually it's an alpaca. And I have to show you the picture because this alpaca is just so adorable. Really, really cute. He's so short and tiny. Look at this little guy. There he is. You can see it in relation to the officers there. Really, really cute. It took a while to catch it. So someone calls in, they say, we've got a llama on the loose. No, that's not what happened. The police in New York say is actually this alpaca that was on the lam, but it's still a pretty good description. So they're able to corral this alpaca after learning that it escaped from someone's trailer at a hotel. It got pretty far, though, in its meanderings around the city. It was spotted near a Land Rover dealership. They said maybe it was looking to upgrade its ride. They finally went out, found it. It was taken to the police precinct where it was soon reunited with its owner. I don't know. It's so cute. I love it. What a day to be a police officer, right? In Philly, they're finding the peacock. In New York, they're finding the llama. Never a dull moment. All right, I'm going to the chat to see what you guys are talking about. There used to be a peacock in Santa Rosa on the hill near Bennett Valley Road that hung out with the turkeys. That's cool. Tammy says, I saw one last week strutting down the road. Sounds like a woman screaming. There were peacock farms in Florida many years ago. They thrive in Florida. I bet they are. Yeah, I think llamas are much bigger than alpacas. I don't know, though. Maybe this was a juvenile or maybe some type of other species. I'm not sure. Yvonne writes, check out the San Jose Mercury story about one that, like many years now, there's a beautiful mural off of a white peacock in downtown Boulder Creek. Unfortunately, a mountain lion got it. Oh, got the peacock? Yikes. Heather says, my best childhood friend had llamas on her farm. They're very stinky. They sure are cute, though. Yeah, John says they sound like little kids screaming. They are so beautiful, though. Kind of magical when you see them. Sandy says there's a ton of peacocks out at Casa de Fruta. Yeah. Peacock distribution system. Thank you guys for all your comments. I think that I'm going to end the show a little earlier than normal. I failed and didn't put enough stories in for myself, and I tell you, it's difficult, and I'll get better at it over the next 8 days. Mark is off, and so for the next 8 days, I'm kind of doing both shows, planning everything and doing everything myself. So I will be hosting the Mark Thompson show tomorrow. We'll have David K. Johnston on the show, and I will have a much more robust after party live for you on Tuesday. And I'm sorry I shortened myself up a little bit today, but I'm actually kind of proud I even had a show today. Woohoo! We love it. You could talk to us. Sure. I'll talk to you about anything you want to talk about. I am a machine. It doesn't feel like it today when I fell a little short, so I'm sorry about that. I will not be asking Mark to pay me double. I'll tell you, money-wise, that the fact that I'm even able to cobble together anything related to being able to work from home after the fall of KGO is huge. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do what I can. And I know sometimes it's even iffy if we're going to be able to survive and keep rolling. So I'm very happy that happens, that I'm able to pull it off. Talk about Jupiter. Now I can take a nap. See, that's the silver lining. I love finding the silver lining to all of this. Yeah, I know I am pulling some double duty. Thanks, Tammy. It feels really good to see those subscribers. I really want the same thing for Nikki Maduro too, I have to say. And I know that show is only once a week, but I really want it to keep going. So if you know anyone able to subscribe to the Nikki Maduro show, please tell them about it. If they haven't subscribed to the Mark Thompson show, please tell them about it. This show, I know it's a little quirky and a little odd, and I was just trying to make it something completely different. So I'm grateful to you for being here. I don't try to promote it as much as the other shows, but I really want them to thrive and be successful. So thank you for your help on that. Luis coming in with $5. We love you, Kim. You're doing an awesome job. I didn't really do an awesome job on today's show, but thank you. I do have to say I like the smile in the sky story, though. That one made me a little happy. How was the parade? The parade, I have to say, was pretty good. And Julia did really well. She's the drum major of the Petaluma High School marching band. So she was leading the band in the Butter and Eggs Day parade here in Petaluma over the weekend. So it was good. Tammy says, yeah, quirky and odd. That's us. It fits, right? If you know someone quirky and odd, good. I just learned a friend of mine up in Seattle is a fan of Chip Franklin, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. And what's interesting about the reach of YouTube is that you find people that are interested in what you're offering in the most bizarre places. I put this show, as we all do, on podcasts. So even though it's heavily reliant on pictures, people listen without the pictures to just the sound. And the podcast platform sends me every week the list of where the shows are the most popular. And it's incredible how many people in different countries listen to this show via podcast. I'm always fascinated. Mark's show is really big in Australia and New Zealand. I was thinking for a while that maybe that was because of Belinda and maybe that she was the draw, but they listen even when Belinda's not on. So I thought that was really, really cool. There are some places in South America that this show is popular, which I thought was interesting. And then I think I saw that it was somewhere in Europe, and I thought, well, maybe they're listening to the audio of the show to try to help with their pronunciation of words in English, which puts some pressure on me to really pronounce things correctly. So Heather says maybe Chip could come on and co-host sometime that Mark is out to help take some of the load off of me. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to find. I'm looking to add some interviews for the rest of the week. So Yeah, Chip as a co-host would be fun. Sometimes he comes on with Nikki, so that's always really fun. All right, we'll end the show for today. Thank you for being here. Please join me tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the Mark Thompson Show, where David K. Johnston will be among the guests, and I'm trying to line up some others as well. And I appreciate all your support. Thank you to Luis for the $5 super sticker. Always appreciated. You will find the PayPal link also in the show description and in the daily show description and in the About tab here on YouTube. Until we meet again, please go out and make it a really good rest of your Monday. Bye, everybody. There it is. I have it.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Please click like and subscribe. Woohoo!